Yo, what is good, beautiful people? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Joe with MLSP, where we help home business owners get results. And today in this video, we have one of our top affiliates and executive team members going over the 5 levels of fear and being able to crush them all. Today is Halloween, and it is the perfect, absolute perfect time to talk about fear. Let's get right into it.
Hey, what's going on? So here's the thing, when we look at creating a life of extraordinary, there are things that kind of that typically stop us, and we blame a lot of it on the how-to stuff. I don't believe that. I don't believe that it's all the how-tos. You see, you can go to the workshops, right? In fact, I put up in here the MLSP.com/live. I got to tell you, you want to know the how-tos? You got to tap into this community, man. You just have to. Like, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. There's no questions. I don't question when they teach something. I don't question it. I had one of my clients said the other day, the reason I'm successful is because I just listen to my coach and I just do what he tells me to do. Now, it's not what I'd say to do, by the way. It's what we collectively create together. So if you really start putting things together, start taking a look at things, is it really the how-to stuff? Well, I don't know how to do it. Well, that's a fear of people judging you because you're worried about not being perfect. Ah, damn it, Krivda. Look, by the way, you're going to want to share this because if there are people on your team, if you are a network marketer and you have anybody on your team that's not taking action, maybe this is something they want to hear. Because they're saying that I don't want to call my family and friends, which I get. It's fine. I did mine. They weren't really happy about it, but I did it anyways. I enrolled half of them. Yeah, that was fun. But the biggest thing is that they're afraid of what people are going to say, think, and feel about them. And so, if your people are not taking action, maybe this is a good thing to share with them. Because imagine if you had a team of fearless people like you. What would that be like? Even if say you had 4 people on your team and 2 of them said, you know what? I no longer fear this. Let's rock and roll. Help me do this. Let's work together. What would it look like there? What would it look like if you started talking more about creating things instead of worrying about being afraid of stuff? We spend a lot of time, Tom Ziegler talks a lot about, we spend so much time in the problem that we forget about the solution and our goals. And it's because the problem is so apparent. I'm gonna say something really quick here. We're about 4 or 5 minutes in. All right, cool. So if you catch anything, catch this. So if you haven't read Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself, man, you are missing out. That will put your whole life into perspective. And here's the thing. This is why this is so important. Hi, Brian. What's up, Omega? I love it when I see awesome people. So when we sit in a place for long enough and we have these thoughts, right? And our brain and our brain and our body is constantly in communication. And what happens is our body feels something, right? If I went boom like that right there, you were like, oh crap, right? Just for a second, you got a slight adrenaline rush. Where you felt that rush for a second, right? So when you feel that rush and you're constantly in that state of fear or concern or anxiety, your body literally starts moving in a place of feeling as though that's the normal of what you need to be. So your body starts evolving inside going, all right, so if I'm constantly in this state of fear or if I'm constantly in a state of panic, then I constantly need to have my adrenaline, my endorphins, and I need to, my cortisol, all that stuff needs to be flowing at a constant rate because I don't know. It's kind of like those, back in the days when cavemen were out there and they had to kill for their food. Where they were in constant, unless they were even in their cave, man, I'd be worried about people coming into my place, right? And so they're constantly in that state. So what happens is, if you notice, they don't live very long. It's because our body's not designed for that. However, what happens is, as we do it in current present day, it causes strokes, heart attacks, it causes all these different diseases in our body because our body starts evolving. Yes, we evolve as people, right? Our proteins evolve according to the chemicals that are constantly going through our body. So imagine that for a second, that all of a sudden your body thinks that that's the way it's supposed to be because of our thoughts are kicking these chemicals off. And imagine for a second, all of a sudden your mind goes, oh, all right, well, our body's good. It's in that place of constant being of state right there. And then all of a sudden, it doesn't need to think about it anymore. You're just there. And your body's in a state of fear all the time. I know people like this. But here's the neat thing. It's reversible. Just like you evolved into it, you can evolve out of it. And all it does is come down to one really big thing. Man, I'm missing some really great comments here. Dang it. Oh, I need to come back. Put your biggest fear here. If I touch on something, you go, oh, that's me. Put it here. Part of the biggest thing about fear is addressing it and becoming aware of it, because when you become aware of it, a solution appears. Crazy, huh? So by evolving back, it's I think I can't remember his other book. I think it's Evolve Your Brain or something like that, or it's something, I don't remember the name of it. It's on my phone, so I listened to it. I just can't remember the name. So anyways, back to what we were saying. All you do is it's I said it on the call, and I really mean this, that everything that's happening in your life is happening for your greater good. And a lot of times it's really hard to see that, right? It's like, yeah, you don't understand, Steve. I probably do. I just haven't told everything that's ever happened to me. I've had some pretty scary things happen, close to death and close to all kinds of stuff. There is a possibility for you. That moment that I almost died when I was about 16 years old, it was an awakening for me. And I look back on that and I'm grateful that I didn't die. Thank God for that. But here's the thing. Because of that, I'm aware of those types of things, that thought process in other people. So I see it differently. That's why I'm so damn empathetic. That's why I care about people so much, because I was in such a dark place. Thank you, Becky. All right, where was I? I don't remember. It doesn't really matter. Evolve yourself. Oh yeah, evolving, right? So how you evolve yourself is when you sit in a space of knowing that everything's happening for your greater good. So when the proverbial poop is hitting the fan, you take a step back for a second and say, oh, okay, so this is supposed to happen. I don't know why it's happening, but man, this sucks. So it must be for something big. I'm preparing for something bigger. If you're a UFC fighter, you don't go, you know what? I've never been in a fight before, but hell with it. I'm just going to jump in the ring and see what happens. You don't, man. You train for it. You get punched a lot. You get kicked a lot. You get thrown all over the place and beat up and picked up and all these things that are very, very scary. So when you get in the ring and you're ready to face a physical opponent and you're going to punch each other to pieces, you go, oh, I really hope I don't lose today. That's not the thought process. The thought process is, I'm going to annihilate this person and I'm going to have my hand raised at the end because I'm the champion. And it's about focusing on either the problem or focusing on where you want to go. And being in a state of fear makes you sit in the problem instead of seeing further down the road. I don't know about you, but I was working out this morning and I was doing Thursday's hardcore cardio day, not my favorite. And I was about halfway through just going, what am I? I'm 46 years old. What am I doing? And then the other voice inside my head said, you're saving your life so you can be around for your boys. I was like, oh, that's right. So all of a sudden, boom, I'm back in state again. All right, let's go where I was. Where am I here? So there's, I'm not going to go through all of them again because because the call was a little bit longer than I expected. Thank you for not just cutting me off, Brian. I appreciate that. I get a little bit long-winded sometimes, but there's a couple things I want to touch on, and one of them is, and tell me if you identify with this or not. When you were younger, do you remember shutting off your light in your bedroom and the door being closed and it being pitch black, and you're sitting there and you're pretty cool for a couple seconds until you start hearing things and you're like, whoa, like I can't see anything. You're trying to open your eyes up like this big, but you can't see what's going on. And then your mind starts messing with you. You think you hear something in the closet, and you know right away, oh man, that's totally the boogeyman. The boogeyman's coming to get me. I knew that dude was real. My parents told me he wasn't, but I knew he was going to be. I knew he was real. This is it. My life is over. Or Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th was going to come out and get you. Or Freddy from Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm dating myself here. And all of a sudden, and you're frozen with fear. You got the blankets up here, and sometimes I would never pull them over my head because then I couldn't see, but I would pull them up right here like I'm hiding. Well, how does that transfer to today? You go to pick up your phone and you freeze and you just sit behind your desk and do nothing. Well, what's the difference between being a 5-year-old kid terrified of the dark and being concerned about something that's not there? Oh, I gave it away, didn't I? See, if we think about what we're afraid of, if you have kids, you know that fear is real, man. It terrifies them. And all of a sudden they get up this, mom, mom, and all of a sudden it's this loud, blood-curdling scream. And you go running in there and you're like, what's up? And they go, I heard something in my closet. And of course, I'm super dad. I rip open the doors. I'm like, what's going on here, right? Knowing there's nothing there. But it's not, but it's not much different than what we're doing now, is it? Didn't we create the boogeyman? Aren't we kind of afraid of the dark in a very metaphorical way? We're afraid of something that's just not there. We created the whole damn thing. And all you need to do is switch the light on to know that there's nothing there. Because in all reality, this whole fear that we're creating is this fear of failure, worrying about what people are going to say about us. Fear of failure has nothing to do with the failure. Nothing to do at all. Has everything to do with what that represents in you and how you see yourself. Man, I fail at things all the time. Probably every single day. I fall flat right on my face. And I just go, man, that was a disaster. And I'm like, all right, well, I can either be super sad about this or I can build something from it. But it really comes down to we're concerned about what people are going to say. See, for me, it was that horrible experiences that I had when I was a kid. Yeah, it was kind of messed up. Some of the things that my teacher said, I really, one time, it was in my 8th grade social studies class, and I studied my butt off. It was a book report. I had the Britannica encyclopedias for those of you kids that are like me that didn't have Google back then. And I did research and I got a 92. And my teacher says, he holds the paper and he holds it up, and I had a big giant 92 on it. And it said, great job. And all of a sudden he goes, Cryptic got a 92. How many do you think he really did the work? I was like, what? It took me days to put that together. Days. And here he is telling me that he didn't believe it. You want to talk about fearing? Even though I put my best foot forward, they didn't believe that it was that. And here's the neat thing. That drives me. It drives me because I know there's other people that are like that. And if it's you, talk to me, man. Right here in the freaking comment section. Because that's his own judgment, not mine. His, not mine. Fear of failure. We're so concerned about what people are going to say. Well, guess what? If you're concerned enough where you don't take any action, guess what? They're right. That stinks. So here's the thing. It is important to be aware of this. It's important to feel as though you're concerned about what other people are thinking. It's fine. It's important to me too. I want to be liked. I don't want people to hate me. However, I know there are people that don't like me. And guess what? I'm okay with that. Not everybody's going to like you, but there's going to be a few select that will love you. And isn't that worth it? I saw somebody put fear of success. Oh, Randy, we're going to go there right now, brother. I think it was Kathy too. Fear of success is very interesting. It comes from places. It comes from I gotta put my shoes back on. It comes from a place of well, I'll start from the beginning of this. I wrote this part down because I actually copied this out of something that I was looking at and I was reading earlier this week. Those who fear success are afraid of what might happen, what might change, or others might feel if they achieve their goals. Now, there's a deserving thing there, and I appreciate you being bold enough. If you guys are bold enough, you can put it here, and I'll address it right here on the call. But thank you for being bold, Randy. You too, Kathy. This is a sign of leaders that are bold enough to be vulnerable. The most successful people in the world are those that are willing to be vulnerable. So it's important. In fact, you just fought past the fear of shame. Isn't that interesting? What are people going to say about me? You didn't care because you put it out there anyway. That's huge. It's massive. Congratulations, man. That's gigantic. There's a couple of things that are going on. A lot of times we see people, imposter syndrome. Cheers, man. Welcome to the club. If you don't feel imposter syndrome, maybe, just maybe, there's a possibility that you're not in the right room. If you're in a room where everybody's better than you, freaking awesome. And you think, man, I don't belong here. Good. Because that's where the most growth happens. I love imposter syndrome. I live in that. I'm in a coaching group right now where I know I'm the imposter, which is a complete lie. I just make the whole thing up because it makes me feel like I can be small. That's just me though. Okay, so the whole fear of success thing is sometimes, and this happened to me for a long time. I'm really grateful that somebody pointed it out to me. Have you ever demonized somebody? You don't like their personality or how they show up on social media. You know that maybe you feel as though they're duping people into buying stuff from them and all these different types of things. Have you ever done that? Well, here's the neat thing. By not being grateful for their success, I don't care how they got there. If they got there being, not so cool or out of integrity or not being authentic, look, it's going to catch up. Just going to happen. Let it be what it is. You can appreciate and be grateful for their success. Because here's the thing, if you demonize somebody for being successful, man, you planted a seed in your mind that you never want anybody to ever talk about you like that. If I become successful, people might think of me like that. Horse poop. So what? People are going to not like you anyways. They're only going to see what they want to see, so it doesn't really matter. Does it? Okay, great. So fear of success because it comes from I don't have my glasses on. Huge responsibilities, and who am I to be the one people look to? Are you, okay, awesome. There's a lot of people that are like that, Kathy. So thank you for that. And I'm totally afraid of success. I keep sabotaging my own growth. Awesome. Thank you, Dorothy. Thank you for being so amazing. You guys are awesome. Here's the thing. Whoops. Are there people in this profession that you're in? Are there people that are brand spanking new? Are there people that have only been around for a little bit? Are there people that have never even had a conversation with somebody? Are there people that are terrified to even think about the words Facebook Live? Are there people that you know that you have a little bit more skills than? You see, I believe that a leader has the education or the oomph. It could be the ability, it could be their know-how, it could be their never freaking want to stop attitude, just a little bit further, just a little bit more than the person that they're coaching, teaching, training, consulting. Has nothing to do with being deserving. Has everything to do with, oh, look, man, for me, it's duty. It's my duty to be here for somebody, period. And that's how I think. If you're not afraid of success, then how big are you really looking? To think right now that I'm talking to however many people on the live here and on the recordings, to think of that people are listening to me right now and I'm speaking stuff. It's really, for me to think about it, it just gave me anxiety. For me to think about that, it gives me anxiety because I'm making it all about me. Imagine for a minute Ray Higdon back in 2009 said, you know what? I'm just going to go back to doing real estate. That's where I'm good. Imagine if Brian back 11 years ago talked to Norbert and they were talking to each other and they created this big vision. He said, man, there's going to be a lot of people looking at us for guidance. That's a lot of responsibility. I don't know if I can do that. Or maybe they did. And then they said, there are a lot of people looking at us. If we don't do it, maybe somebody that's not so in integrity will do it and take all their money. That's happened before. I've been in different places where I'm like, hey, where did that person go? I gave them my money. Has that ever happened to you, or is it just me? Sometimes we create success in the executive world. You know, I know somebody close to me actually had created a lot of money in network marketing, and something happened with one of their family members and they pulled back, lost it all because they spent the time with their family. So when they went back in, they were hesitant because they were concerned that if I create the success, I might lose it all again. Well, if you don't create success, there's nothing to lose. And if there's nothing to lose, are you really living? See, if you believe what I believe God put us on this earth to impact each other, not to sit around and just watch everybody else live life. It's not about enduring life. It's about enjoying life. It's about being happy, successful, and abundant. You know, fear of taking risk is another big one. And here's the thing. The whole risk thing, it is really your own definition of what risk is. I don't believe in risk. I believe the risk is not taking risk. That's my personal belief, and that's something I had to create in my mind. So if we really start looking at it, if your fear of taking risk, it's actually the perception of losing something you don't even have yet. Or maybe it's a perception of losing something that you value, or maybe it's you're concerned about losing money, or you're concerned about losing time and all this kind of stuff. And really, when you think about it, if you devote time to something, if you look at Tony Robbins, I love his story. You know, he picked up a book, right? Miracle Morning sitting right on my desk because I'm going back through it again. He picked up a book and said, holy crap, this is amazing stuff. I need to read more of these. And then he read more of those. And then he went, I know something that other people don't know. I need to teach them. Instead of telling them to read these past 40 books that I just read, I'm going to start training people and teaching people. And the more he read, the more he did it. The more he did it, the more he read. The more he did it, the less fear he felt because he was really making an impact. So if you think about that right there, if you spent money and or you've committed time to something and you didn't show up, of course you're hesitant. Of course you're hesitating to take another risk. Oh, I can't spend that $500 because if I do, it's just going to be an expense. Well, that's a choice. You chose that that's an expense instead of an investment. It's a complete 100% choice. If you've been to events and didn't do anything afterwards, you chose that. If you bought a course and never did anything with a course, that's a choice. If you've had a coaching session with somebody and you decided not to take the actions on it, it's a choice. You chose that. So of course you'd be hesitant. But if you really take a look at it, it's the choice of hesitating that's creating this really crazy cycle of being concerned about taking risk. If you ask me if a $500 or a $10,000 investment is worth putting out the money, I'm like, well, what's the projected information I'm going to receive or projected result? I'm going to learn to do that. And then it's up to me to take action. Sweet, I can take action. Taking action is cool. So it changes the thought process. Imagine for a moment, I said this on the call, and I may have repeated it a couple of times here, but imagine for a second that you believe that every single thing that ever happened in your life is designed to create the person you need to be for your greater mission in life. That all these perceived failures that we're constantly talking about, that they were there to show us how to either be better or how not to be. Everything is there. It's designed to create you. If you were making $1 million a year in some corporate job or in your network marketing company or real estate or whatever it is, and you lost it all, well, there's probably a reason behind it. And if you go back, you say, well, it's the economy. The economy sucks. It's out of my control. It's all the economy's fault. Fine. Then the next time that you create $1 million a year in whatever business you're doing, maybe we can take a look at the indicators. And when the indicators come, we can take a step back and go, oh, those are the indicators. So I need to be prepared. I need to get in the gym before I step into the ring. So I need to be prepared for this. And I remember last time this was here. I spent $53,000 on a piece of property back in 2006-ish. I don't remember, somewhere in there. And it was all the money we had. And because our agent was like, no, prices are continually going up. Well, like a week later, it went from 53 to 51. And I was like, oh crap. And she's like, don't worry about it. It's just a fluctuation. And I didn't know enough to ask the right questions. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. A week later, it dropped down to mid 40s. And I'm like, uh-oh. We're in trouble now. A couple weeks later, it's in the 30s. I'm like, what the heck? In a month, we just lost like $20,000. I was freaking out, man. It's because I just didn't know. I was allowing somebody else to control our dreams instead of just doing the research and paying attention to the indicators. Here's the thing. Would I buy real estate again? Yeah, of course I would. Because I see things differently now. I know what to look for. I know how to see things. I know the right people to ask. I know the experts. Instead of asking a person that might not know, I go to the experts and I start having conversations with different people. So imagine if you just sat back, and I'll ask it one more time, we'll jump off here. Imagine for a second that you knew that everything was there for the greater good of you and the greater good of your mission. And I believe that wholeheartedly with everything that I am, 100% of me. You can't convince me of anything else. And here's how I'll prove it. Look at all the crazy things that have ever happened to you and look what it led to. You might be in the middle of a storm now, and that's fine. And you might not see it yet, but look at the past record. See, if that's the case, would you show up differently? How would you see yourself? How would you move? How would you create decisions? How would you have conversations? Would there be a sense of urgency in your voice? I had a good man, and he's going to be out the shop. Brian, talk to Tony about his friend. I have a friend of mine that his one of his associates kept saying these words. When I retire, I'm going to X. Well, retirement was 2 years from now. He just died. How would you show up if you actually had urgency in your life? We constantly procrastinate, push things off. We use fear of risk, fear of failure, fear of success, fear of what people are going to say about me, and all these different things to stop ourselves. Well, damn, if I'm going to die today at 12:07 p.m. Eastern, well, guess what? At least I got a message out there and I put it out there for somebody to hear. Whether or not it sunk in, I'm hoping that it sunk in somewhere. But man, we don't have time to sit in a place of fear. Address it, own it. I'm afraid of this. I'm terrified. I'm crapping my pants over this. So what am I going to do if I actually take action? If I decided to say, if I fail at this, it's going to train me, teach me, correct me, course journey or course correct my journey. It's for the greater good. Then okay, I'm going to take action anyways, because I know, as scared as I am now, it is, if I don't do anything, life will never, ever, ever shift into the place that I want it to work. And if that was the thinking, how would you show up? Today's Halloween, whether you celebrate it or not. Today is all about putting a mask on and pretending to be somebody else. Well, so for some of us, we've had a mask on our entire freaking life. It's time to take off your mask and be you, and be loved for the person that you are. Take off the mask and be authentic. And you're going to piss people off? Sure. So what? Because just as many people that you might frustrate, there's going to be 10 times that people are going to love you for that. Take off the mask and be you. Be your authentic self. If you haven't gone to, I put the link up on our thing, MLSP.com/live. In order to really be your authentic self, you got to be around other people that are like you so you can see what it's like. Saying the words, I'm not so-and-so, or when I'm this, bullcrap. You're already the person you need to be to have everything you want in your life. The only difference between the successful and the non-successful is they're not hiding from it anymore. Own your fears. It's okay to have them. It's not okay to let them control you. So today, my friend, I encourage you to do this. Comment here if you heard something, whatever your insight that you picked up from today. Here's what I encourage you to do. When the fear comes and you're going to pick up the phone, do a Facebook Live, push go, or whatever you're going to do, if that happens, go, cool. I feel alive today because today I'm taking the step in the direction of everything I've ever wanted in my life. And I'm making a conscious choice today to be my authentic self. So I love you guys. I went about 8 minutes more than I wanted to, but something was calling me to keep going. So I love y'all. I hope you have an outstanding weekend. And if you're going out with your children, please be safe. Keep an eye on them little boogers, man. They're fast. And just continue to kick ass in life and show people what possibility is by you stepping outside of what you think is holding you back. I love y'all. Have a great day. Bye-bye.